to buy its gas. Yes, I did mention the United States has a strategy of forcing the entire world to buy
Lakshmi no
its gas
nine,
and its
yeah.
oil. I didn't say it was going to work. In fact, I probably said it was not going to work because when you do something like this, when you try to control the entire world and force it to do its bidding,
Don't do that, bro.
It's basically blow in your face.
Literally.
Okay?
Literally.
So, yes, in theory, if the United States forces the world to buy its oil, then the United States could maintain the petrodollar. The problem is that the United States is doing this not for national interest.
What else do we
The
need?
United States is
Where the
doing
keys
this
at?
in order to promote the interests of certain factions and interest groups within the American elite. Okay? This is a very important distinction.
That I can actually.
The people in charge don't care. It is an economic depression.
Oh my God.
Economic depression just means that you can buy things for really cheap. Okay? It also means that you can enforce an authoritarian state upon the nation because people will be desperate. So they're doing what they're doing in order to obtain more wealth.
Oh, party foul.
Right? So Trump is doing what Trump is doing, not to save America, but to help his friends.
That's on me, bro.
And once you understand that, then you understand there's no, just because they're going to do this does not mean the United States will not collapse economically. They don't care the United States collapses economically.
630.
Number 4, I'm putting New Zealand was a country that's not been mentioned in your lectures, although all your charts seem to show that New Zealand will be quite badly affected by the Iran war. Do you see New Zealand joining NATO in the fight against Ukraine? I read news that billionaires are building bunkers in New Zealand. Does that mean we will be somewhat safe from future conflict? Or New Zealand use this information to the best of my children here? Okay. New Zealand is an interesting, because New Zealand is very much like Canada and Australia. Okay, these 3 places, New Zealand, Australia, and Canada. They're not nation states. They are resource colonies of the British Empire. Okay? Meaning that they're owned, literally owned by the British. So the resources, their wealth belong to the British. And so what's happening in these countries right now is a corporate restructuring where the population is being replaced. Right?
I was using Chunkbase to find the
and so they're importing millions of new immigrants, primarily Indians, but also a lot of Chinese, a lot of Filipinos, to replace the population. Because in a time of economic decline, you need your colonies to perform better. Right? So I don't see New Zealand participating in any wars, but I do see New Zealand, the population being replaced by immigrants. Okay? And this will probably lead to a lot of civil conflict in these places. Right?
Pretty cool. Pretty cool.
From Demi.
Nikshatras to these planets and Nikshatras.
You mentioned how
Rahu.
your parents play video games.
Rahu in Uttara Bhadrapada, K2 in Hasta.
For a younger man who feels aimless,
you can do your own pada.
Want to get back on spiritually productive.
Fortune in
okay, this is a really hard question for me to answer. Okay. Yes, it is true that in my late 20s, I was very depressed. I felt that life was hopeless. And I feel as though you have to go through stages like this in your life. So it's not something to be avoided. It's something that you'll have to suffer through. And when you hit rock bottom, you instinctively or you intuitively understand that I need to move on in my life. Okay? So during this time period, what I did was I engaged in a period of self-reflection in which I questioned my assumptions about the world. I went to Yale University, and after I went to Yale University, I thought the world was meritocratic. It was logical. That if you work hard, if you have talent, then you succeed in life. And then after plowing through life in my 20s, I had many years where I became very depressed, and I just thought about my own life, and I recognized that I need to have a better understanding, a more nuanced understanding of how the world works. This led me to the journey that has led me to today. Okay? So failure is not something to be ignored or avoided or to be feared. It's something to be embraced. They don't fear failure.
Oh yeah.
If there's a work that has had the most influence on me these past 10, 20 years, it would be Dante, the Divine Comedy. Okay? But that's very hard to read. So in mid-June, I will teach a 2-week seminar, line by line, close reading of Dante's Divine Comedy. And what I'm hoping to do is inspire people to engage in their own self-reflection and to think much more deeply about their own purpose in this world. Okay, and hopefully this will help people.
I know it doesn't stop the spawners. It's just too dark, bro.
I don't disagree with the notion that AI is an occult project, but I find it curious. Similar between what you call a cult and the sentiment of courage that a scientist or inventor must have in pursuing the development of some revolutionary technology that they truly believe is a benefit for humanity. I don't disagree with it. I think that if you want to be a true scientist, your imagination must involve their cult. If you're being silent, like Isaac Newton was, you're not interested in like creating a patent or an invention that will make you $1 billion. You don't care about that. You want to know the mind of God. You want to change the world forever.
Wow.
That's what leads to tremendous inspiration and imagination. Your lecture on the empire of AI, you interpret the core computer field 0 to 1 as an invitation to start a secret society to access a cult.
The bones are there,
I don't necessarily disagree with your interpretation. I would find similarity between the passage you both feel in another book called The Hero of 1,000 Faces by Joseph Campbell. Exactly. So all these heroic figures in history, they all have similar characteristics. They all believe that they are on a mission, a secret mission from God, and they must create a movement around them in order to advance humanity. Yes.
I know how to set up an enclave on YouTube, but it doesn't make sense to post TikToks. It makes more sense to post YouTube videos until I start seeing TikTok.
I see your point, King. I see your point.
Society, world dominance, religion, and AI into one basket. Yet I point out that all innovation is a cult in nature. I completely agree with this. You have to understand a cult if you want to innovate. That's why I teach it. And the cult is animistic. Whether your intention is to access it,
sweeping edge, I need sweeping edge.
To access so I'm also dominate the world. Exactly.
I got thorns. I'm not scared of none of y'all.
Free will means you're good into evil. It doesn't care. Okay? Doesn't matter.
Blitz. Perception blitz.
And it just happens that the most visible tech forces
I need to sit up.
Dominate the world. This is exactly correct. Okay? So people who are truly innovative. There's a diversity among them. But the people who succeed are those who are most aligned with power and control. Okay? So you love making money, then guess what? You'll be successful. But if you want to help humanity, guess what? You won't be successful. Okay?
What?
So there's almost like a direction.
Infinity is infinity. The infinite gap is infinite.
Almost like a right away to power. So people actually agree, like, Mark Zuckerberg, Steve Jobs, Larry Ellison, they'll be much more successful than people like me, who's much more interested in educating people.
Oh, my elbow's falling asleep.
That's the reality of the world we live in. But the thing
I've no milk, bro.
God wanted this way. Because only by giving us complete free will.
That's why I built that little staircase.
Right? And
now advanced before becoming, bro.
What I'm doing, unless there are evil people like Mark Zuckerberg doing what he's doing. All right. So
I'm in with the wall, bro.
All right. So
you're that good at noticing.
What's important is the free will. All right. So,
both of them. You're right. Literally. That's what I'm saying, bro. That's why I have no patience, bro. No patience,
Question
bro.
from 21U American male. Do you believe an American draft is still coming, Professor Zhang? Many young American men follow you, and those who are willing to take drastic action are left wondering what direction to go. If a draft is still coming, is it worth leaving the U.S. this summer? Do you have any general decision advice for young men? Thank you.
Okay. First of all, I do believe the draft is coming. Not only that, I believe that the draft is coming to many countries, including Canada, Australia, Europe.
Guys, I think I have bones for
the draft is to fight a war. But you think about it deeply, the purpose of a draft is to reorganize society in a certain way. So in America today, what do young men do? Well, they buy Bitcoin, they gamble,
Buy low and sell high, bro.
OnlyFans. They don't want to work because the pay is too low. And this is
actually took an econ class
for the country. Young men go to college, and for 4 years they drink beer and watch football games. And they don't learn anything, right? So you have this huge social problem on your hands that young men aren't contributing effectively to your economy. So what you do is you engineer a financial crisis, like the Great Depression, so that you're forced to work because your parents have no more money. And then you have an actual draft to teach you skills that you will need in order to find the economy, okay? So a draft doesn't necessarily mean that you go to war. A draft just means that you work for the government for like 5 to 10 years. And it's possible, like they train you to be an engineer in the Navy. Believe it or not, but the best education you can possibly receive is often from the military, because unlike schools, they're incentivized to actually teach you something useful.
It's all ROTC upscale.
For free. So
what you know about that?
A draft is something that they need in order to basically train young men to be effective contributors to the economy. And it's something that many countries will adopt as well. If you just let young men do whatever they want, they're just going to play video games, spend all their money on OnlyFans, and gamble everything on Bitcoin, okay? And they don't really know anything useful.
Is that true?
So this is a huge problem, and that's why they need a national draft to fix this problem. So should you run away if there's a draft? I already told you there's no place to run to, okay? Either you go to nation with the draft, or you go to nation with worse problems like famine, okay? So, I mean, what's important is to recognize that the world is changing. We're not going to go back to the old world.
I didn't say that.
Things are not going to stay the same, and so you must embrace change, right? A national draft means that if you're useful, they'll keep you alive. If you're not useful, they'll send you to Iran, where you'll die. Okay?
I didn't know how the shaka placement.
So make yourself useful. Read books. Learn skills. Work hard. Okay, that's my advice. I'm sorry you're so blunt, but that's the world we live in, okay?
All right.
John Zach says thank you. Well, thank you, John.
Bro, IRS.
All right. Can you read well, Alan?
Professor, what is your take on a pattern AI designed to bypass the false optimization minimum of human extinction? Instead of forcing a stereo piece, it would optimize for minimum conflict energy and maximize creative collaboration by structurally limiting the harm capacity of non-empathetic actors. Could such a framework successfully steer humanity's historical trajectory toward healthy, constructive competition without violating our autonomy?
Yeah, this is a great point. It is possible for AI to do this. The question is, who's going to pay for this?
Right.
If you're a billionaire, the reason why you invest in AI is to...
This is still the rules, by the way.
To extend your power and your wealth. And that means to control people better, right? So you're not going to create an AI system that means you don't need government anymore. Government's going to invest in this in order to have more control of people. Okay, so that's the issue that we face. The reality is that AI is very expensive. You need trillion-dollar data centers in order to run AI effectively. Okay. All right. Can you read, Alan?
Who's the blogger?
Thank you for your work, Professor. An upcoming multipolar world order, do you think the general populace, especially American, is prepared or even capable of making the mental shift and understanding just how much the world is shifting? Or is this something the next generation will only understand?
Yeah, this is a great question. And unfortunately, the reality is that most people will not be able to make this mental shift, especially older people. That's why most people are going to die. If you're not able to make the shift, you're going to die. Okay? Because you'd rather die than reality. And it's unfortunate. But a lot of problems will come from the fact that the world is changing. people, society need to make changes to adapt to this new world. For example, if there's energy shortages, that means we need to share more. There's enough energy to go around, guys, but it needs you to share more. It needs you to make personal sacrifices to make sure that your neighbor has enough to eat. And unfortunately, there's going to be a lot of people, especially baby boomers, who are millionaires. Now, I'm not saying that all baby boomers are millionaires, but I'm saying that baby boomers who are millionaires, they're extremely selfish. They're not going to want to make these changes. They're not going to want to pay more taxes or give up their $1 million mansions so that the world can be better. Okay? And we know this because if they were willing to do this, we wouldn't be in this mess in the first place. So a lot of comments are going to come to the fact that you have people in power who will be
Someone should take care of that guy.
who will be too old to change, and who will be silent in resisting change.
Can't jump over a block.
Keep on going.
Hi, Professor. Can you tell a story about one of the times you felt really connected to the monarch, and what insight did it give you? Love the lessons. A big hug to you and your family. Take care.
Great. So there are many instances.
More of a tank build. It's more of a tank build, bro.
But when I teach, I feel connected to the monad. It's a very strange experience. But, the first time I started teaching was like when I was like 20 years old. I was in China. I was not a very good teacher. But when I'm teaching and the students are learning, I can feel them learning, I feel as though we connect back to the monad. Okay? So the most gratifying experience I have is when I teach, I see students edified by the teaching, and I see students learning. Okay, that is direct connection to the monad. When you love someone, like I love my wife, I feel connected to the monad. When I hug my child, when I have a newborn, I hug my newborn for the first time, that's connection to the monad. So the monad is with us all the time. It just, do we choose to connect or not?
You need a popsicle before I drink green tea, otherwise I'm like, yeah.
Then
Tough.
you can easily connect to the monad. Connection to the monad is the greatest happiness in the world. So moments of greatest happiness in our world are when we hug someone we love. Okay? When we care for a friend. Your friend is sick and in the hospital, but you spend 2 weeks just by the bedside of your friend. Is that a feeling of pain or pleasure? I think for most people, it's a feeling of deep pleasure that you're helping someone, that you're contributing to the world positively. Okay?
Oh, Mark.
All right. Keep on going. Yeah.
Professor Zhang, many discussion around AI focus on surveillance, government control, censorship, and manipulation. But what if that is only the surface layer? As AI, social media, algorithms, governments, collective emotions, and human consciousness began recursively interacting with one another, it feels like we are entering an era where reality itself becomes fragmented and amplified simultaneously. Not just fake news, but entire emotion and psychological ecosystem shaking how different groups perceive truth, identity, memory, and meaning. In the future, do you think humanity risks losing a shared consensus reality altogether? And if so, what anchors human consciousness when billions of people are each interacting with different AI mirrors, preying on different values, narratives, and emotions feedback loops? At that point, is AI merely a tool of civilization, or does it become part of civilization's evolving consciousness itself?
Okay, so there's a very famous Canadian media theorist named Marshall McLuhan. And his famous saying is, the medium is the message. The idea here is that the medium itself, whether it's radio or television or the internet, it shapes the way you perceive yourself and the world. So look at ChatGPT. In theory, ChatGPT is supposed to enhance your imagination because ChatGPT is able to reduce the grunt work, right? It's able to provide you a lot of information, and then you're able to build on top of this information. But in reality, what happens is that you become reliant on ChatGPT, and you lose.
Guys, I'm so upset about my armor training.
Why doesn't? So why is that? The answer is the monad. What makes you smart? What gives you creativity is your constant connection to the monad. So if you shift your focus from technology and away from your intuition, then you're going to lose.
Like something of value.
Okay? But
to be on screen.
why we have ChatGPT, why we have AI is it's a way to structure your thinking in a way that allows the powers that be to control you better. All right? Okay, so remember this idea that all technology in a way increases your connection.
I forgot.
And therefore, all technology is bad in a way. Doesn't mean it's useless, but it means it's going to deafen your connection to the monad. What strings your connection to the monad is
let me do this.
other people. Okay? And yourself. So if you really want to be creative, you really want to understand humanity, take long walks in the park.
The water so I don't fall. Oh.
Read a lot of books.
A little birdie told me
all right,
that
let's
this is
keep
a
going.
great place to Mahas to be.
Question: how do you define beauty, and how should general public members
so lucky.
pursue beauty?
I got bailed out because I'm alive.
Beauty is
Usually smack my
divine.
dome on that.
Okay? Beauty is connection to the divine. Beauty is a glimpse into the divine. Beauty are the sparks that are permanent throughout the world.
Poetically.
Okay? And so beauty are experiences that change you for the better.
When's your birthday?
Because they shock you into a new reality. And so beauty would include the great books, Homer, Dante. It could include an experience that you have that forever changes you. Okay? That's how I would define beauty.
It's not my Q zone. It's not my Q zone.
Great to be part of this. I have several questions. Please pick whatever you like.
Okay, all right. Yeah. Let me just pick one random, okay?
Feels like I don't need. But I came into your.
What happens if Saudi Arabia says I'm building its new pipeline? No, well, you know, then you have to blow it up, okay, guys? It's a desert.
Well,
okay, you have to build things in a desert. It's pretty easy to blow things up in a desert. There's no place to hide. Pipelines are very easy to blow up.
Every day.
Because there's a lot of energy inside, right? Just a ballistic missile, only job I think it's blown up. All right?
Then I can't get monetized until my community.
All right. Let's go to
my only community.
What's different?
You have discussed Pax Judaica many times. The idea of Israel as the center hub of a new regional order. But Pax Silica reframes Israel as merely a node in the broader US-led technology and supply chain architectures, not the dominant power. What is your take on Pax Silica?
Okay, all right. So,
you can't choose what
Pax
you believe.
Israel is at the center of the Middle East. Okay? Pax Silica, the idea is that artificial intelligence, backed by silicon, is the new world power. The problem with Pax Silica is that it's really a trade network. Now, trade networks are often very, very fragile. Trade networks require the cooperation of different nation states to maintain coherence. And what we know is that
I'll title this
power comes from the nation state. Okay? So unless you have a nation state backing Pax Silica, it's not going to work. So you can say that behind Pax Silica will be Pax Judaica. That's a possibility. But then Pax Judaica is in charge, okay, not Pax Silica.
I want an alignment,
right? So the idea that you can have an independent, autonomous trading system to produce AI, it can't work. Okay? Ultimately, you need a nation state to back it with military power, with resources, with people.
Material goals.
Right? Okay, let's move on with Isaiah.
Awesome day, John and wife. Thanks for the love you have shared together to create such treasured content and family. I'm going to list some topics and cues, and I'd like to know the most important things you'd like to share about each one you choose. 1, unconditional love. 2, the good side of Kabbalah. 3, non-dual awareness. 4, fertilized crisis.
Okay, all right, sorry. So I'm sorry. This is like way too long. I appreciate the question, but this is going to take too long. Okay, so let me just look at the top 2. Unconditional love. Unconditional love is something that once you achieve, it changes you forever. Okay.
Damn.
And you basically achieve unconditional love when you have a child for the first time, because you have to love your child unconditionally. Because a child is about experience. Okay.
So we are
the good side of Kabbalah. There are many good sides of Kabbalah. I don't understand why Kabbalah is put in such a negative life. But Kabbalah, it's a very powerful way of understanding the world and forces you to think very deeply about your place in the world. Look, the reality is that if you go to American University, there are two ethnic groups that are pretty dominant in academia in America. They are the Indians and the Jews. The Indians have a Vedic tradition, the Jews have a Kabbalah tradition. This is not an accident, okay? If you want, if you really want to be creative, we've said this in the past, you need to understand the occult. The Kabbalah forces you to wrestle with the occult and recognize that beyond the material world, there are these deep mystical questions that can guide your life. And by dealing with these questions, not only will it help you better understand your place in the world, but they will also advance your own scientific inquiry.
Where do I put my waxed ox? Okay. That's why I had an auto sorter, but it puts all my. I didn't keep my tool chest far enough away from any of my.
My question is, what do you think?
My question is, what do you think of the yoga cycle? And according to universal laws, why do institutions like the Roman Empire to exist? The Kabbalah speaks of Earth being a centrifugal forge, essentially the Earth being cycles upon cycles upon cycles, Fibonacci sequence, samsara, etc.
Stop. Okay, all right. So this is a really important idea where for thousands of years, humans have come to an understanding, which is the world works in cycles. You rise, you fall, you live, you die. There's summer, there's winter. There's nothing you can do about this. What is hubris? What is stupid? What is arrogant? It's to believe that you can stop history, you can end history. And that can only lead to destruction. Okay? So that's a world we live in today where it is natural for the American Empire.
Because I don't know if I had already said that yet.
And to go away. That's just human history. That's a cycle. But they're suffering because the American Empire refuses to go away. It refuses to die. And therefore, we must suffer.
Oh, the vampire.
Okay? But there's nothing that you can do about this. The more you resist, the greater the pain, the quicker the fall. Okay, and this is something that all religions teach us. Just accept the life cycle. Okay, saying that empires decline is the same as saying that an earthquake is coming. Okay? Can you stop an earthquake coming? No, you just have to prepare for it. An empire decline, same thing. It's a natural cycle.
Come on.
Okay. All right.
Denise Richards.
This is from Sarah.
At all, bro.
They noted I'm very interested in the live streams. I hope it is the basics for the school you would like to build up. I'm gonna be present, thinking of good question for the last class. Thank you.
Great. So yeah, exactly. I'm very excited about our first live stream, which is scheduled for next Sunday at 9 a.m. in Beijing time, at 9 p.m. in New York on the East Coast. I understand that
this is
many people will participate in the live stream, especially people from Europe. Okay, but the idea is that we'll change the timing of the live stream as time goes by, okay? In order to accommodate more people. But Sarah is absolutely right. I'm doing this in order to form the basis of a school community. And this is all an experiment, but we'll try the first live stream next Sunday, June 7th. Okay. So I'll send a note to all founding members that we'll be doing this live stream as an experiment. And then after a week later, we'll do a live stream for all paid subscribers.
Pisces as the 10th house.
All the live streams will be eventually uploaded to my YouTube channel, so no one will miss the content. But for doing the live stream, only founding members or paid subscribers will be able to participate. Okay. All right,
or even better.
Hello, Professor. I want to begin by saying your lectures have given me an honor.
Sorry, can you just go through the question?
Okay. My question focuses on the takeaway from Denton's Divine Comedy and the great books, specifically the argument that we can only move closer to the divine, unlock our imagination, and find the motivation to achieve greatness by directing our love toward another human soul. How does this framework account for individuals who find this exact same spiritual and creative awakening through non-human subjects? For example, consider someone who grew up isolated, without supportive parents or an interest in romance, but who formed a deep, fond attachment to colors, sounds, or concepts. If their entire painting, music, sports, or technology provides the exact same describe and beautiful imagination, can that abstract devotion serve as an equivalent path to the source? Are they not adding to the imagination of the universe and expanding it as well?
Okay, this is a really good point.
Haven't you
yes,
heard
it's
that it's always
say that the way to activate our love, our connection to the monad, is by connecting with a person, by loving that person unconditionally, like a child or a mother or a partner.
I might check my YouTube
But
channel.
what if you are, for whatever reason, alone in the world, and you are nonverbal? You express yourself through colors, and
Probably not poly.
You can still connect to the monad. The monad is still in you.
Character.
Okay?
It's like,
And you're right. There are lots of people who are like that, like Vincent Van Gogh, who produce tremendous artwork. Okay, so the point is that anyone and everyone can produce great beauty in the world because of our connection to the monad.
I still call her
The question is, as a society, how tolerant, how generous, how loving are we? Okay? The more generous, the more tolerant, the more loving we are as a society, the greater our creativity. So the example I use would be autistic children in schools.
I'm trying to render.
I have researched autistic children.
Produce an
They're
audience,
not
Aquarius.
that different from you and me.
I want to hang out with Emma.
They just have limited emotional regulation, meaning that they make noises in class. But teachers don't accept that. It's like, no, if you're making noises in class, then you
Guys,
are
what's the difference between a manifester and a manifesting generator?
Okay, so that's the society that we live in today, which is extremely intolerant, which is extremely selfish, very individualistic. And so if we're truly to love every child, then we need to change, transform our society that is much more loving and generous.
Probably more trippy than mine.
Go on.
Mama.
Universally beneficial.
Work hard.
All right.
Professor, thank you for everything you have done and what you continue to do. In your lecture, Trump World Order, you discuss a potential grand plan being carried out by Trump. From my understanding, you believe that the failures of the U.S. in the Middle East may ultimately lead to a decline of the U.S. empire globally, but the rise of the American nation in this scenario, U.S. will be forced to retreat and return focus on the Americans where there is an abundance of natural resources. Being forced to retreat, the American global empire is hurt significantly, but it may be better for the actual citizens of America. By focusing internally, America will stop overextending itself abroad, which will actually help the country. Do you truly believe this is Trump playing 4D chess, or is this just a lucky result where America basically stumbles into success in the Americans? Is there an unknown party behind Trump that is driving him to make these decisions?
Okay, Trump is not playing 4D chess. Okay, Trump is stupid.
Sorry, these guys are getting robbed, bro.
In American politics, where he's trying to get a third term, okay? That's what he wants.
What's the best way to break
the idea that Trump has a grand vision to make America great again, that doesn't really work, okay? What America is doing, what it's doing is, this is how an empire would prefer to control the world through soft power. And this is true for the past few decades, where America could control the world through Hollywood, through newspapers like the New York Times, through an image that America is a benevolent power, okay? And for the longest time, that was the case. But now that the world's turning against America, America has no choice but to use force to make people obey its will. When you do
sometimes when people laugh at inside jokes, I feel left out. You know?
Okay, so this is not about America shifting strategy,
but you're
making
invited to
America
all
great
my
again.
inside jokes.
This is about an empire in decline will always use force in order to maintain its advantage over the world.
More of a boost.
The problem with this is that once you leave the world, once you retreat back into your own territory,
they're boobs. Guys, they're boobs. What do you not understand?
Become internalized. So before, the conflicts could be exported, projected overseas.
I hear you.
Okay, to reduce the conflicts internally.
Totally.
Once they
I know they use their beds.
they're forced to fight each other.
Holy crap.
Okay, and who's the people behind Trump? Was the people who want to use American power in order to promote their own interests. And this includes oil companies like Exxon. This includes Silicon Valley, who want to create an AI surveillance state. Okay, this includes the military industrial complex that wants to expand itself.
Still planning.
Okay.
Better.
That wasn't even cancer, sir.
Yeah. Okay, this is Carlos.
A lot of conceptions that I hear in your classes about social economics and materialism remind me of Karl Popper's thoughts. Do you know his writings? Are you inspired by him in some way? Do you think China was some way able to surpass its elite corporations of the Western model and achieve some fair wealth distribution and energetic transition? Is China's elite also ruled by secret societies?
Okay, so China's elite is not
more of a
secret society, it's ruled by certain
more of the
families.
Capricorn.
Okay, this is very different, but because families don't have eschatologies, they have bloodlines. Secret societies do have eschatology, meaning there's less energy in China. China's just interested in maintaining the status quo, where secret societies are interested in achieving certain eschatologies.
The Capricorn and the mermaids.
Will China be able to surpass its either called cooperation of the Western model and achieve some fair wealth distribution and energy transition? No. Okay. No. China is on decline. And this is something that cannot be averted. Listen, I personally think that China is a historical accident.
You hear me? Is this the?
Okay, there are many things about China that should have been destroyed a long time ago. But because China has been historically isolated from the rest of the world, China has been in East Asia, protected by the sea, the mountains, Great Wall. It really was not in competition with the rest of the world. Okay, so I'm not very that optimistic about China. Okay, Mark?
That's gonna be the point.
Dear Professor, thank you for your lectures. They have shaped the way I think and approach new things I learn. I recently wrote an essay on Serbia that develops a model I believe may resonate with some of the things you teach. If you happen to have the time to read it, I would be honored to hear your thoughts, especially on whether the framework feels coherent and useful.
Okay, so this is from Mark, and I did read the essay. Okay, and the essay is about how Serbia can try to navigate, negotiate, and balance the different powers that surround it, including Russia, including Europe. And it's a very interesting point. The point I will make is that if you really want to know how resilient a society is, don't worry about how carefully it navigates the diplomacy, okay? Just ask yourself 3 questions. Is this society energetic? Meaning, do people in the society work hard? Do they take work seriously? Second is this society open-minded? Meaning, is it willing to learn from its mistakes? Is it willing to be humble and innovative? The third question is it cohesive? Meaning that there's a coherent ethnic identity that binds people together, that makes them want to sacrifice themselves for each other, okay? If Serbia answers these 3 questions, then Serbia, no matter what it does, will have a good future. Okay? I don't know enough about Serbia to comment, but those are the 3 questions you want to ask. And everything else is not really that important. All right, this is from
Why are people obsessed with games? Why are games such a useful framework for understanding ourselves and our world? Can a game still be considered a game if it has no limitations, only players and incentives?
This is a really interesting
If Calvin Ball can be a game
question. So I use game theory as a way to frame human behavior. Okay, but it doesn't necessarily mean that people that's are themselves using game theory. Game theory just helps me make certain predictions about the world. Okay, that's my first point. My second point is
should I keep recording my front facing
is a way for us to socialize with each other.
I think it's good to have a view.
Okay,
so I know
and I don't know what it is, but we live in a world in which status really matters. But this is not always been historically true. So you go back, a few thousand years when most of the world was actually matriarchal. Okay, that was not a game-based society.
Josh, some more questions.
Major societies tend to be very cooperative. And it really,
I want to know whether or not,
making sure everyone gets along.
what your favorite
Now that we
format?
Luke the Notable thinks I'm a cheater.
What should I keep doing? What should I do more? What should
I hear you, bro.
Maybe not what I should do less of, but what I should do more of.
So
Tell me what I should do more of. Or
aren't
comment
the
if
natural
you
state
my
of
gut
humanity.
you want.
They're natural state of humanity for now, but not in the past, maybe not in the future.
If you comment something that I think should be
Alright,
deleted,
this
you
is
probably
from
offended somebody
Adil.
else that isn't.
Professor John, thank you again for your lecture and your broader work on civilizational strategy. One thing I appreciate about your analysis is that you take seriously the psychological and historical stories societies tell about themselves, not just economics or military capacity. Lately, I've been wondering whether a lot of modern geopolitics is really about preserving civilization meaning and legitimacy. Americans still depend on the story about liberalism, freedom, and historical progress. China depends on the idea of national rejuvenation after humiliation. Russia sees itself as a civilization with a spiritual and historical mission distinct from the West. Iran draws on Kabbalah, martyrdom, Shia, and older Persian memory through the
One of my ratings is my
So my question is, how do you think civilizations can tell when their founding narratives are still helping them remain coherent and reality-oriented versus when those same narratives began insulating them from reality and pushing them towards self-deception?
Okay, so I think that the best civilizations,
in the background,
some civilizations are those that have stories that are universal, that they connect with other cultures. They will transcend time and space, and that's why these four particular civilizations, America, Russia, Iran, and Israel, are so powerful because their stories resonate across time and across space. America is one fundamentally based on individual to pursue his or her ambition, right? Russia is about community, tradition, orthodoxy. Iran is about sacrifice, about eschatology. Israel is about covenant, about history. And these themes resonate throughout time and space. And that's why right now we're seeing a conflict among these four different traditions to see who will win. It's not really clear to me which story will ultimately triumph.
My personal favorites.
Francisco.
Hello, Professor.
Sorry. You know what?
Guys, what's a basin?
Okay, so the question is,
in the flag.
Is there a fine line between stories that unite and stories that maybe blind you from the larger reality?
Come on.
And I know this is going to be strange, okay? But my intuition tells me, like, the more cohesive the story is, the more it's able to transcend time and space.
I'm playing roles in the background.
What's really interesting is, let's just say
enrichment
the entire world is destroyed tomorrow.
You know what I mean?
Is that true?
10,000 years from now, humanity rebuilds itself. Guess what, guys? You have the same narrative, the same story, the same conflict.
Universally beneficial.
Freedom
this is all
and tradition.
This is a great
between history
all these
and the
videos
future.
are for me.
Okay?
But they're
this is
for
what
you.
humanity is finding out.
I don't know where.
Is there videos on repeat, and then I woke up
this like
40 hours. I don't know. I saw my watch time hours go down.
A fundamental question about a pattern on a global perspective, and one that intrigues me concerns the issue of civilization. Other videos of the past about history, from the evolution of humankind and the tragedy of writing to the patriarchal shift and suggestions that the Indo-European victory brought about, as well as the expansion.
Sorry, I was trying to multitask.
Given this,
I don't believe in multitasking. Full
what are the
disclosure.
benefits of civilization and empire, or are they inherently evil and anti-human?
Okay, so all right. So a major problem
you dingus.
with how history is taught, how we think about the world is we apply labels to things, okay? Like good, bad, beneficial, not beneficial. That's not how history works.
That's a world record.
History works in
I think I looked
cycles.
I don't
rise, fall, up, down.
other
Civilization,
in like the high 20,000.
okay?
Lock myself in a
There's
box.
nothing good or bad about these
Story of my life, bro.
earthquake. We don't say it's bad, is it good? Is it storm, is it good or bad? It is part of the world we live in. So stop assigning values and labels to these things, except that there's a pattern to these things. And our role, our purpose in this world is to navigate this pattern, to take our own individual meaning in this world.
I think that's world.
Okay? The world could come tomorrow.
There's no Mars can render whatever he wants, bro. It's annoying.
Be a good parent, be a good neighbor.
I really want to know.
And focus on what you do individually and don't give labels to these things. Is America good or bad? America is America. Is Russia good or bad? It's just Russia. Okay?
Beat a really high score.
Just keep that in mind.
But I don't know.
Okay.
Just got.
What about their measures?
There's a possibility that there are more nation-states with culture and popular cohesion that can effectively combat the international capital elites that we imagine. For instance, Iran is an extreme case of the resilience. But recently, Spanish Prime Minister and South Korean President have been vocally criticizing Israel's anti-humanitarian actions. Assuming that this is the case, do you see your predictions more or less unchanged, or do you think they need to be corrected to be less extreme?
This is a great point, okay? Yes, I do oversimplify
Like a capture card and stuff.
like my analysis. The world is extremely complex. There's like a million data points you can choose from. I choose from like a few.
Figure out a
okay. You're exactly right in that. I need to consider more factors, more possibilities, and more data points. And I will in the future. It's just like what's really important for me is to first build a framework, a skeleton, and then work from there. And that's why I do what I do. Because you want to start a framework. Your framework allows you to make better observations. Don't be too concerned about being factual. This is an argument I'm going to have with a lot of people where, you know, like, I'm so obsessed with making predictions that I'm not very factual. Well, what's important is to first build the framework, okay, the skeleton, and then build from there. Whereas if you just focus on the facts, it doesn't really get you that many places. Okay? So you have to write that I need to insert more data points, and I need to make my arguments more nuanced, more subtle. I will do
my YouTube channels. If you're not subscribed to my YouTube channels, I'm probably not going to do you a favor.
Professor Zhang, your game theory approach consistently drives toward a coherent conclusion of U.S. decline, Chinese vindication, Iranian resilience. In the spirit of the brutal skepticism, you ask for what specific 12-month outcome, concrete and falsifiable, will prove your macro thesis of structural U.S. decline wrong.
This is a great question. I want to thank you so much for this question. This is exactly the question I'm looking for. Okay? Yes, because I'm always looking to invalidate my theory. So what I did in the next 12 months, that would
deeper.
Right, true.
TikTok.
Very scary.
I can't really predict what happens. It's entirely possible the U.S. midterm will surprise me in a way that will have to change my prediction. I don't know how it will surprise me, but
Literally, bro.
if Tony die tomorrow,
are you kidding me?
Not the Carcass. Carcass logo. Carcass.
If Tony died tomorrow, that would change the entire world.
Bro, what's with this
very hard to
the army one?
What's with this
who was as
production?
charismatic as Trump,
If the day
who was revolutionary as Trump,
March,
then I would think that my entire world would be wrong.
March 1st, bro.
How many hours left on the platform?
That America could rejuvenate itself. unfortunately, I think the most populist party in the United States right now is the Democratic Party. The Democratic Party were to say, you know what?
Guys, can a pacifist have this many totems of undying?
Let's get a real leader like this, grassroots, who can lead us forward. That I think would be the greatest thing in the world. Okay? Will it happen? Probably not.
You're either a cheater, or
is there a prediction you made in the last 18 months that contradicted your directional thesis? Lately, cyclical history models, Athens, Rome, tend to project present onto the past to pattern March. How do you account for drastically different inputs today? AI labor displacement, climate change, space race, etc. in your model. What's your confidence that our current transition is a historical analog via truly uncharted?
It's easy to plant potato, right?
Okay. But the question is,
I'm going to
do we believe that we're truly in the age of humanity,
part of history,
where AI should lead us to a new future?
Takes away my trishula.
Or is it possible, like, we discount the complexity and the sophistication of ancient civilizations, like the Athenians and the Romans? Is it possible that they also have technology that they thought to be life transforming, and which would allow them to transcend history? I think that it's much more likely we ignore the sophistication of the past and overemphasize our own sophistication. There's something about AI that tells me that we're heading towards a new future. I think AI is just another hocus pocus hallucination meant to fool us into obedience. And there might also be an alien invasion, okay? There's nothing really about the world that we live in that I think makes us distinct from...
Were there schools?
Okay, from Dan?
Be telling you guys about the 27th thing.
I've watched every single one of your videos over the last year, some of them 2 or 3 times. I'm curious as to why there is nearly no mention of white supremacy and structural racism woven into historical and contemporary analysis. Quite literally, I do not think the words white supremacy have been said once. Does geopolitical game series supersede white supremacy and structural racism? Do the later function more as a tool of domestic management?
My feet are going numb. Senator.
Do you view them as identity politics more so than pertinent issue of our times?
Okay, so supremacy does exist. Structural racism does exist. I know because I grew up in Canada. And if you grew up in Canada,
you're allowed to talk shit. I just think people say they want to talk shit until I'm ready to talk shit back. You know what I mean?
Okay. But I'm leveraging why these things exist.
It's like, oh, it's like we can't talk shit. Well, you can't talk shit without getting prepared to get shit talked back to you. It's like, what? That's why I like talking shit. That's why I like it when people talk shit. That's why I like it when people talk shit, bro. Let me get roasted. Let's talk, please. Let's talk.
White people were in charge. Everyone wanted to be white. And you got the rise of China. You have the rise of the multiple world.
Those potatoes, where's my
countries, the United States, Canada, Europe, they became much more decadent, much more corrupt. And then they started to see the white supremacy decline relative to other
super grateful.
And they didn't like that.
And I know, sis.
Okay? But I don't like the claim that that's white supremacy because that's not the root of the problem. The root of the problem is imperial arrogance, hubris, civilization. Okay?
No, I want to get paid.
I mean, would Chinese supremacy be better than white supremacy?
How many
would Japanese supremacy be better than white supremacy? I don't necessarily think so. It's just like, you know,
before you pay,
it is right and good for us to cover
before you pay,
and to think that we should be, that we are superior in many ways. That's what often leads to cultures to greatness. Okay, so there's always going to be
it's because of NPC theory.
And this is what leads to
NPC theory.
Okay, so yes, white supremacy does exist, but again, I don't think that's actually the root of the problem. The root of the problem is that people want to belong in community, and people want to believe that their stories in this community are more legitimate than other stories.
They're all
okay, and to ask people to just be completely open-minded and be non-racist, I think goes against human nature.
All should be. They're just different channels.
All right.
Use them for different situations.
John?
Hello, Professor John. Thanks for all that you do. I have a layered question. We talk about Plato's caves a lot, and it mostly makes sense to me. But I get a little confused about the illusion part. Is the material world itself the illusion, as in one's own head, the device on which I'm writing this?
I'm not talking about Minecraft.
Or is society with its arbitrary rules the illusion? As if these things aren't real, why do they impact and influence us on such a deep level? Thank you again, Professor. I didn't think I was very interested in history or geopolitical speculations until watching your courses. So I'm very grateful to you for letting your truth and your family.
I'm not disabled. I'm just a little unwell.
Yeah, okay, so first of all, society is complete illusion.
That's what I mean. Yeah, illusion of being
You're just taught nonsense. You're taught all this illusion. Okay. What allows society to function is the fact that which are illusions. Okay, so the point of school, the point of media, the point of culture is to make you believe that these illusions are real. And you want them to be real because they're not real. You can't really function in society. Okay, so that's pretty obvious to people. Okay, the social rules are just illusions.
Actually, honestly, I went a while without getting it, and now I get it.
Once you get it,
now I get it. Honestly,
recognize these illusions. They're illusions. These taboos are just illusions. It allows you to better navigate society. Okay. So last semester we talked about Frankism. Take a Frank. That's what he teaches his followers.
Creeper's gotta die, bro.
It's just an illusion.
Whatever.
Okay, do whatever you want. And once you are able to enforce your will on other people, you can achieve what you want because
I'm thinking
are just surrounded by illusions. Okay, there's no real to what they believe in. So it's very easy for you to impose your own illusion on other people.
This is like Lakshmi Cooper mantra. That's
so but the bigger question is this material world an illusion? And it is an illusion. What is real, and I want to emphasize this.
Imagine Sun and Moolah. Sun and Moolah, literally, Sun and Moolah.
That is real. Our heads, our eyes, these are the illusion. But that's very hard to appreciate. Okay? That's why we're seeing societies. That's why there's mystery schools in ancient Greek. Because to convince someone that
your mind is
more real than your head, they're insane. Once you're able to make this divine or mental leap, your entire world changes, okay? Now you're able to access really. But the reality is that 99% of us will not be able to make this
against YouTube and
realization, okay? To discover for yourself that, oh my God, it's my consciousness.
Manifest destiny.
Real. But everything I see around me in the material world, this building, this money, this wealth, it's all just okay? Right? I've been able to do so.
I don't think they get us. I don't think they get a jump boost.
It's hard. Okay?
And no class action lawsuit on
Hello, Professor John, a new subscriber here. Looking forward to reading more of your geopolitical analysis. I wanted to ask, are you going to maybe cover the future of Europe and Balkans in one of your analysis? It is a region that was the most unstable in Europe, at least in recent history. When talking about the big players, you also mentioned how the smaller regions and sub-regions relate towards Russia, China, US, like South American, parts of African, smaller Asian countries, etc. Recently, China has been kind of using Balkans as an entry into Europe with their infrastructure investments. Right after Trump's and Putin's visit to China, President of Serbia also visited China and received a medal from Xi, and only 12 other leaders received. Also, the visit was on the headlines of Chinese media too.
Okay, yeah, so exactly right. The Balkans is historically one of the most important and volatile regions of the world. So the Middle East is probably the most volatile. But the Balkans are also very volatile for very similar reasons, okay? One reason is just the geographic necessity of the Balkans. It is an access point to many continents.
Oh my gosh.
Second is the
AstroSeek.
shout out to conflict in the area.
These
There
are
many
all
different
sponsored
religious
by
groups
AstroSeek.
fighting for control over that area. And the third is the historical animosity built up over the centuries of conflict. So we can expect that the conflict between Russia and Europe will converge again in the Balkans.
Hopefully,
But I don't know enough about the area specifically. Okay, I was expecting a major conflict to rise in that region as a proxy war between Russia and Europe.
even better servers.
But the specifics I don't really want to discuss, okay? Again, in the future, what I want to do is explore more of the world and really try to understand different communities in this world. Okay. All right. Keep going.
Or if there's a
If Tucker calls in lap box over the